The blind see, the deaf hear, and dead people are coming back to life. Iris Global is shaking Southern Africa, and its leaders, Heidi and Rolland Baker, have been called one of the most influential leaders in global Pentecostalism. But who are these people? Let's find out. Heidi Baker was born in 1959 in California, grew up in Laguna Beach, but was saved at the Choctaw Indian Reservation in Mississippi. After hearing an awesome Pentecostal minister there, she received Jesus and was baptized in a bathtub. 2 months later, she was in this church where she had been saved, and she saw a brilliant white light and heard the audible voice of God saying, "I'm calling you to be a minister and a missionary. You are to go to Africa, Asia, in England." Some years later, she was in a church in Mexico where God spoke to her again, saying that you are supposed to marry Rolland Baker, whom she had only met once at a church ski trip. God also said that she would minister together with Mel Tari in Indonesia, whom she had never met. But eventually she did marry Rolland, and it turned out that Mel was Rolland's best friend. He was even the best man at their wedding, and they went to Indonesia 2 weeks afterwards. Now this Rolland was the grandson of H.A. Baker, a missionary in China who's written an awesome book called Vision Beyond the Veil, sharing how children receive prophetic visions when he was helping them out at a children's home. Rolland had been involved in the Jesus movement in the 70s and was really passionate about combining signs and wonders, evangelism, and peace and justice. So in Indonesia, the Bakers led thousands to the Lord on their campaigning missions with Mel Tari. They lived together with poor people in the slums, creating job programs, casting out demons. Eventually, the Indonesian government kicked them out, so they went to Hong Kong to do the same thing together with Jackie Pullinger. In 1991, they went to London. Both Rolland and Heidi pursued doctorates in systematic theology at King's College, and they helped the homeless and the poor on the streets as well. One day, Rolland was reading in Time magazine about the horrible civil war in Mozambique and how the rebels were blowing up Red Cross trucks. So he called out for his wife and said, "Heidi, they're blowing up Red Cross trucks in Mozambique." And she said, "Yeah, that's horrible, let's go there." So in 1995, they moved to Maputo. They started to help orphan and homeless children, and they called their organization Ministerio de Arcoiris, which means the Ministry of the Rainbow, referring to the divine sign that God gives Noah in Genesis. Before long, they had 300 children to take care of. Heidi quickly got exhausted and infected, developed pneumonia and tuberculosis, and the doctors was really worried for her, but she wanted to go to Toronto. At this time, there was a big awakening there that you may have heard about, the Toronto Blessing, and she was convinced that God will heal her in that place. So against the recommendation of her doctors, she and Rolland went to the Toronto Blessing, and there she was 100% completely healed. She also had a vision when she saw thousands of children, and she was screaming out, "No, no, Lord, no, there are too many." But then she saw Jesus, who told her, "Because I died, there is always enough," and gave her a piece of his flesh and his blood, and it became bread and wine that she gave to the children. The Bakers returned to Mozambique expecting revival, but they got chaos. The Mozambique government shut the children's home down, and all of a sudden Heidi and Rolland had to shuffle in 100 kids into the personal office. Heidi's friend Nelda Lawrence from the American Embassy came to them with some food, and she said, "I got some food for your family," namely some rice and chili for 4 persons, that is Heidi and Rolland and their 2 kids. Although Heidi said, "We have quite a big family," and showed Nelda all the kids inside. Heidi asked Nelda to bless the food, and according to both her in a book Always Enough and Surprise It Holy in his book Voice in the Night, there was a multiplication miracle. Even though all they had was this rice and a small pot of cornmeal, they were able to feed all of the children and the adult. Eventually, there was reconciliation between Iris Ministries and the Mozambican government. They could expand their ministry to other areas and be a huge blessing to the Mozambican society. In the huge floods of 2000, Iris Ministry was providing humanitarian aid and prayer for thousands of people. In 2004, the Bakers moved to Pemba in Cabo Delgado in the northern part of Mozambique, which has been the base for Iris Ministries, or Iris Global as it's now known since then. Today they help thousands of children and they have planted thousands of churches. And they are seeing so many miracles when they go out in the bush to preach the gospel and heal the sick and help the poor. Heidi writes in the book Always Enough about a woman being raised from the dead. As dawn arrived, Rosa began to move and then crawl, and then she got up and ate rice. I was taken up to heaven, she said, and I saw this huge gate, but a voice told me I couldn't go in yet. It wasn't my time and I had to go back. Others have also been raised from the dead, and for the first time in my life, I saw totally blind eyes, white from cataracts, change color and became normal and healthy. We do our best to preach the word clearly, and as signs and wonders follow, the remotest and most forgotten of the African bush are being added to the church. And Rolland writes in their book Expecting Miracles, Kakala is grinning broadly, so excited. Heidi is prompting her syllable by syllable, and she is answering perfectly into the microphone. This stirs the whole watching village, which knows that Kakala has been a deaf mute all her life. They run to get Kakala's mother, and soon the two of them are beaming as they stand together on a revival platform, the flatbed of a 3-ton truck. The mother confirms to the whole crowd that she has never heard Kakala speak before. That's Kakala right there with Heidi. And then we have the mother as well. Heidi and Rolland, especially Heidi, have inspired me so much. I told you in another video about when Heidi was in Sweden in 2012. And she was blessing me and praying for me, as well as many others, of course. And that's really when God called me to combine signs and wonders, peace and justice and evangelism, not just as a blog topic, but really for that to be the calling of my life. And that's what I see that they do in Mozambique, and that's what I want that all Christians do in all of the world. I think that they are really good at following Jesus, and we can learn a lot from their courage, from their passion, from their love. Now, thank you for watching. God bless you.